All right, so for this video, assignment number 3, I'm going to be covering chapter 7, which, sorry, just one sec. Chapter 7, descriptive statistics, and then I'll be going over some of the big key points that we touched on, both in the lecture and in the extra videos given to us, and how we use these for research. So, big thing was like mode, median, mean, range, and standard deviation. So let's see where I put my notes here. So let's see. So our mean is just our average from a set of data. So if you're getting, so we'll just use the same example that we used in the lecture. So income in the United States average would be somewhere in the 20 to 30,000 range. Mode is your most frequent value. So whatever number you see comes up most in your data point. I mean in your set of scores. So if we're going off income, what you might see the most might be lower than the average, so you just have a lot of people at the very end of it that offset it. Then we have median, which is our middle range value. Sorry, I'm blanking. And then moving into like standard deviation. Standard deviation is basically just a tool used for us to gauge how likely something is to happen in a set of data. So if you have a set of data that follows your normal curve, your SD is just a tool of measurement to tell you how likely you are to fall in a certain range. So if you're within one SD of your median, or your mean, I guess your middle, dead smack in the middle statistic, that's like 68% of all the data. And then 2 is like 90. I'm blanking on what it actually is within 2 SDs, but it's 96, I think. Anyways, the majority of it. But standard deviation is mainly just used to, tell us how likely an event is to occur. And so using this, like with the example that we saw in the lecture, let's see, let's pull it up real quick, sorry. So with the example we got in the lecture of U.S. how household income distribution, our mean would be, so our mean for this graph that we got that spans from earning under $5,000 a year to earning over $250,000 a year, our mean would be 65,000, our median would be 50K, and our mode would be 20 to 25K. And it's really important for us to know the difference between all of these, because they can influence, when you report all this, it can influence your data. If I just told you, if I just went out and said the mode for average household income was 20 to 25,000, it'd make the country overall look very poor. When the mean and the median are 50 and 65,000. And so yeah, no, it's really basically what I'm getting at is it's important to know the difference, just so we're properly reporting it all. Let's see what else. Sorry, I just lost my tab. Oh, we also talked about stuff like minimum, maximum range, your interquartile range, and variance. So they sound kind of like what they are. Your minimum is just your lowest number in the range. Maximum is highest. Your range is the highest value minus the lowest, so you kind of see where you're in there. And then your interquartile range is calculated after the highest 25% of values and the lowest 25% have been removed, so you kind of get more in the middle there. And then variance is a measure of the extent to which values in a set of data varies. So it just tells you how much you're going to vary, basically. And yeah, what else did we cover in this? Oh, here it is. On the standard deviation, I was wrong with the percentage. So when you're within one standard deviation of your mean, that is 68% of your cases. When you're within 2, that is 95% of your cases. And when you're within 3, that's 99% of your cases. So basically, you can use that to gauge whether a statistic is actually relevant to the overall, to the grand scheme of things. So if I were to tell you that someone made, let's say 400,000 a year for average U.S. income, they're probably going to be well over 3 standard deviations from your mean. So realistically, that number doesn't really matter a whole lot. Let's see, what was our mean again? Yeah, so our mean was 65K. So if you made, let's say 80K, that statistic would make a lot more sense, and you probably should include that in whatever your report may be on that subject. Just because, yes, you're within the mass majority of the people and their earnings, that you're within that one standard deviation. We went into a lot of different ways of calculating things, but we really don't need to know how to calculate these things. I think at this point everyone's taken or is taking statistics, so yeah, this chapter kind of felt like a little bit of review from statistics. Yeah, went over a lot of different what's it called? Formulas. Sorry, I was blanking there on the words. And then, we touched on correlation, which is used to assess relationships between variables. So basically, whether things relate. And yeah. And so I think for the most part, I touched on, just repeating it again, touched on the mode, median, mean, and standard deviation, which were the big takeaway things that we kind of need to know so that we can use that to analyze data better, basically, and understanding the difference helps you know. Understanding the difference, is important because sometimes you'll need to use mode, sometimes you'll need to use median. And of course, you always want to know your standard deviation to know if something is relevant to the discussion. So yeah.